Yo, what's up? Welcome inside the opening line. Corey and Benny coming at you on a lovely Thursday morning. This be my last day of the week. Got some things got to tend to. Hold on 1 second.
You're already blowing up, man. That's how busy you are right now. You're already blowing up on Thursday for Friday. Yeah. I don't know about the lovely Thursday morning part either, Corey. I don't know if you've been outside yesterday.
Yeah, happened. It's nice out this side.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It was a little cold out there this morning, so that's why I got the hat on in here. It's actually cold in my house too. We haven't turned the heat on downstairs yet. We got to turn on that big ass, boiler heater thing. So until that happens, it's a little cold inside, and that's why I'm going with the winter hat today.
Yeah, no doubt. No, yeah, I stepped outside for a minute, so it was pretty good. Please give me 1 second. This is from my mom's.
We don't want to interrupt Corey. Corey's a busy man, but it'll be a good day tomorrow. Rad Thad's actually going to stop by and hang out with me tomorrow morning. So Rad Thad and I will come talk a little bit of DFS, probably talk a lot of football like we usually do on a Friday show, since we're not here on the weekends for you guys. So that's probably what we'll wind up doing tomorrow. Thad being a big DFS guy, we'll probably talk a little bit more DFS than we usually do. We'll get into some of the betting as well. Obviously, that's, something that kind of goes hand in hand with how you look at some of these games for DFS. So make sure you tune in for that tomorrow. You ready now, bro? We good to go?
Let's do it. Let's get it done. All right. So obviously, important time of year. A lot of sports going on. You got the NFL in full swing. Major League Baseball playoffs are rocking and rolling. And also you have the coming back of the NBA. And I've been keeping a little bit of an eye on this story, ready to make some commentary on it, Benny. But I haven't really had the chance to sit down and talk about it and think through it yet. But this thing with the NBA in China, Benny, is this could become a shit show.
I kind of feel like it already is, to be honest with you. So for those who don't know what Corey's talking about, one of the guys from the Houston Rockets, their GM, Daryl Morey, basically made some kind of comment about, freedom and peace in Hong Kong. Now, for those who don't know, Hong Kong, China used to have Hong Kong as part of it, and then, the British and all that stuff. There's a whole big, long history lesson that you guys can get into if you want. But basically to say they're a little salty about it. It's a sore subject, for a lot of the Chinese people and the Chinese government. So China kind of took offense to it and has been acting really butthurt over this. I don't know if you've been keeping up with how much, flack and everything has come here. China has basically started taking down some NBA posters. They canceled a couple things that were supposed to happen with, right now there's NBA teams in China playing pickup games, and there are Chinese teams over here playing against, some of the NBA teams in preseason stuff. I mean, Corey, this is big business we're talking about here. The NBA gets $1.2 billion in revenue from China.
That's a lot of money, Benny. And that's the thing with China. China can have all of these oppressions and atrocities going on, but people generally turn a blind eye because it's 1 billion people in China. And those 1 billion people spend a lot of money.
Yeah, they buy a lot of basketball jerseys over in China, and they have a streaming service over there. Like, we have the NBA package that you can get over here for DirecTV or for your iPad or something. The deal that they have for the streaming service is basically $1 billion deal with China. So people might be saying, oh, yeah, well, it's all about the money. So here's the ramifications of why the NBA is kind of kissing China's ass. Like, obviously it's the money, but the way the NBA salary cap works is as a percentage of revenue. So if you get, what some people are saying, this could lead to a 10 to 20% drop in revenue for the NBA from China, you're talking $100 to $200 million, which means that the salary cap might not go up. And honestly, it may even go down. So now you have all these teams that have all these high-priced players that are out there. And next year they may wind up with less money than they thought they were going to have to go out there and fill in the pieces of the other teams. So, whether you like it or not, I know everybody wants the NBA to be, a bastion for, right and, give everybody a platform to say what they want politically and all that stuff. The NBA is a business. There are people that need to make money here. So, that's really what this whole beef is about right now is people saying you're selling yourself out for money and the NBA saying, well, yeah, we're a business. That's kind of what we do. So that's the gist of this argument.
But people are saying it's hypocritical of the league because when the players, they talk about Donald Trump, an NBA team is not going to visit the White House after they win a championship. We've seen, you know how much I love Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich. We saw Donald Trump call those two guys out yesterday. Steve Kerr looked bad talking about it. You know what I'm saying? Because Steve Kerr is well-versed. He's well-opinionated. He has an opinion on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Kerr's father, was killed in, some kind of political action. You know what I'm saying? So for him to sit up there and be like, hey, listen, I don't really know what's going on here. Steve Kerr, you know exactly what's going on there. But Steve Kerr also knows the Golden State Warriors are the second most popular team in China behind the Houston Rockets. Obviously, the Rockets, the long-time franchise that Yao Ming played for. Yao Ming is pissed off about this thing also. Today, you got a game going on out there. You got LeBron James out there. There will be no media availability. Obviously, LeBron James probably would have something to say. But even LeBron James probably would stay out of this one too. But it's probably a question he don't want to answer. I think the players were in a bad spot this week, but Adam Silver stood his ground, and the game is being played right now.
I mean, it is what it is. They got to kind of play nice because of how much money is involved here. And that's really what it comes down to. It's, did they sell out for money? Absolutely. Do you have a problem with that? You shouldn't. They're a business. That's what they're supposed to do. This isn't, I know they give the players a platform to kind of say what they want to say, but at the same point in time, if it's going to hurt business, like if you and I went out here right now and started bad-mouthing Guru Elite, I would expect our bosses to be pissed off about it, that we're taking money out of their pocket. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
So I don't understand why people think this is crazy. I don't care what your job is. If you're a lawyer, you can't go in and start bad-mouthing your law firm and expect that they're going to give you a promotion or they're going to be happy about it. You're going to be in the boss's office talking about why you're hurting business. I mean, this is the way the world works.
So let's tie it into to this country. The things that they say here, it's kind of like they're applauded for it. The NBA is the progressive league and stuff like that, while the NFL is the old school, good old boys league. Mm-hmm. The NFL had a problem that they felt was affecting their bottom line, and they got hammered for the way they treated it. Mm-hmm. The NBA is on the precipice right here because people are looking at it, okay, are you going to be this progressive league, or are you going to have people getting thrown out of arenas with free Hong Kong T-shirts in Washington, D.C., not in China?
Yeah. Here's basically the big difference between the two is in the United States of America, we're a free country. People can say whatever they want, or, you can say, oh, everybody's censored me on the right, on the left, on the whatever. But this is a free country. You can say what you want to say. China is not a free country. That's just the way it is. Expecting China to be like the United States, that's not the reality of the world right now, So different different companies have to do different things to compete in certain markets, and this is what they have to do. Now, am I saying that I agree with it? No. What I'm saying, though, is I think this is another one of the outrage culture kind of things, and I am one of those people that sometimes believes that the outrage is justified and sometimes believes that people are going a little too far.
No doubt.
For me, this is one of those things where you're going a little too far. You're really going to try to hold the NBA as the standard bearer that should be changing the way things go in the Chinese government. I mean, come on now, people. Let's think about what we're really, asking to happen right here. The NBA is not going to be the agent for change for the Chinese socialist communist government that's been around for all these years.
No.
And if that's what you think they should be, then you're a freaking moron and you don't understand what it's all about.
When their leader was asked about Adam Silver sticking behind Daryl Morey, saying that it was his freedom of speech, even though Silver at first was very upset, saying that was his freedom of speech, the Chinese official said, that's not freedom of speech. So they let you know right there, they don't care about your opinion. Mm-hmm. This is how we do it. And if you want a piece of this $1.4 billion pie, you got to play by our rules. The list of companies that in recent years have made apologies to China over nothing is outstanding.
Well, listen, not for nothing. There's a lot of things that, I disagree with Donald Trump and the way that he's run his government. One thing I don't disagree with, though, is what he's doing with China here. China is a bad actor on the global stage. They don't follow the same rules that everybody else does. And a lot of these companies, in my opinion, have kind of bowed to them because they wanted the dollars. And when you get in bed with a country like this, you have to realize that stuff like this is going to happen right now, which is why I think it's smart that a lot of companies are leaving China and getting out of there because they don't care. They're stealing your technology. They're going to dictate to you how you run your business. Again, the NBA is kind of locked in because of how much money they're making over there in China, and there's a lot of money to be made, but you're actually selling your soul to the devil in order to do it. So it is what it is. Like I said, it's a business. This is the way they roll. Don't expect your sports figures and franchises to be the ones changing America. That's not what America's supposed to be about. I know it sucks, but it's actually the politicians' job to do that. So
exactly, that's the thing that's crazy. Because everybody, all these politicians, well, look at what the NBA is doing. Well, look at what you're doing.
No offense, yeah, this is your job. The NBA shouldn't have to do your job. You're the one who should be doing it.
Where the NBA got caught in this, Benny, is because the NBA calls itself the global game. And if you call yourself the global game and you're in China, well, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I still agree with you. I don't think this is the NBA's job. You know what I'm saying? Now,
the NBA
going to be in the funny-looking spots with Steve Kerr talking about, I don't know what's going on, and Steph Curry talking about, oh, I'm not versed enough in this. Yeah, especially you, Mr. Curry, you are.
The big thing now, too, and, this is how real life ties into our sporting life. We're also at a very tumultuous time in the relationship between the U.S. and China. And whether or not the NBA wants to look at themselves as the global game, China still looks at them as the U.S. game. This is a U.S. company coming into us. To be honest, this is kind of like a leverage move. This is like Ivanka Trump getting a patent kind of deal. Like this is a way to, attack the whole situation that's going on without doing it head on. So, there's a lot of things that the NBA, I think, is kind of smart to be staying out of the middle of this, because this is one of those things that could wind up blowing up, and then the NBA negative publicity on both Fox News and CNN for the next 6 to 8 months, right as the season's starting. And that's not really what you want this season to be known for in the NBA, So I do think they're doing smart thing by staying out of this whole thing. Take your lumps in the PR, it'll blow over at some point.
The problem becomes, Benny, if it follows them back stateside and you start seeing protests at NBA stadiums and NBA arenas, that's when they're going to have to do something about it.
You ever seen the movie PCU back in the day? Remember that movie?
Yeah.
It was with the guy that was in Entourage, Jeremy Piven's and all that stuff.
Oh, I remember.
That's what this country's becoming. And it pisses me off. Like, I'm not somebody who's going to be like, MAGA, let's go, let's burn everything down. But at the same point in time, like, people need to stop just being assholes. People want to protest everything right now. Like, whatever. It just drives me nuts. It's like, dude, live your life. You know what I'm saying? There are things worth protesting, and there are things that don't matter. This is one of those stories that doesn't matter. People are making too big a deal out of this.
Yeah, no doubt. So, I think we'll continue to hear about it as it comes down, and we go through it. Another interesting thing over the past couple of weeks has been the college bill in California, which you really didn't get a chance to touch on. But those kids, listen, they won that case. We'll see how the NCAA handles that. This thing with LaMelo Ball and the New Zealand Breakers and the other kid, R.J. Hampton, they don't play college ball, but both of them will probably be top 5 draft picks. The NBA really has no way to police this as far as somebody approaching them and start talking contract.
And you know what? Why should they? I mean, for all intents and purposes, they're free agents. They didn't want to go to college. I think these two things tie in together with the kids not getting paid from college and what these kids are doing here. It's like, listen, if I'm an 18-year-old guy and somebody's willing to pay me 6 figures to do something, I'm going to do it. If you're an 18-year-old coder and you're the best on a computer at creating websites, and somebody comes along and Google wants to give you $500,000 as an 18-year-old kid, is Google going to be like, well, you got to go to college for 3 years and you can't leave college until your junior year, and then we can draft you and give you a job at Google? If you have a chance to go make money doing something, you should be able to go do it. Like, that's pretty much what life is all about, Like, that's why I hate the NCAA, to be perfectly honest with you. So I have no problem if LaMelo Ball decides he wants to go and play for some international team and get paid $100,000 or $200,000. Guys have done this before. Remember Brandon Jennings? Jennings did this, came right out of high school, skipped going to college for a year. I think he went over to Italy, played a year in Italy, got drafted, came back.
He may have went to China.
Was it China? All right, so he went to China. I thought he went to Italy, to be honest, but either way.
Smith, he could have went to Italy. Remember during when the lockout was going on, J.R. Smith went to play in China for a year?
Yeah, a bunch of guys did. Wilson Chandler. Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
J.R. Smith cannot go back to China?
That does not surprise me. That's not surprising. I didn't know that, but it's not surprising at all.
J.R. Smith is not allowed back in China, son.
Yeah, well.
Well, him and his family got into a big fight in the stands. That kind of was the final straw. But son let me tell you what J.R. Smith was doing, son. He would call room service. They would bring him the meal. By the time they got back downstairs, he would order another meal. And he would order and order and order and order and order. And then the next morning, when the hotel staff comes in, none of the food would be eaten.
But why? Like, what's the point of that? You know what I mean? Like, why? Like, that's just being a jerk at that point.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We got a football game tonight, Benny. I will get into that in a little bit, but first I want to talk about some of these money lines for this week, because we talk point spreads, but I think you can learn a lot from these money lines. I want to discuss some of these money lines with you. One of my favorite ones for this week, Benny, and you're probably just going to disagree because I haven't found nobody to buy into this with me yet. The Buccaneers at plus 120.
I actually don't hate it.
Okay.
But here's the thing I'm going to say. Christian McCaffrey didn't practice.
I know.
And his back is a little banged up. Now, again, I don't know how serious it is. If he has a full practice today and he's good, I'd probably be a little less, likely to take it. But let's just say that Christian McCaffrey, who has a bad back and has to take an 8-hour flight over to or a 7-hour flight over to London, which I just did, and I have a bad back, so he's not going to be feeling good by the time they get over there. Let's say he doesn't have a good game. He's the entire offense for the Carolina Panthers.
No doubt.
If he has a bad game, that's going to be basically lights out, game over for them, because they're not going to win it any other way. The other thing, too, is remember how much everybody loved the Chicago Bears last week against Oakland over in London?
Yep.
Remember, I think it was 2 years ago, Mercedes Lewis had a 3 or 4 touchdown game over there.
Yep.
Crazy shit happens all the time in the London games.
Yep.
Especially when you're playing this 6:30 in the morning game on the West Coast. This is one of those games where I kind of just throw a lot of things out the window, because we've seen a bunch of crazy stuff happen. Teams don't guys don't adjust well after flying, things like that. I don't think it's crazy to look at a money line here.
Every year that since they've been doing the London series, I think it's 9 years now,
mm-hmm.
One of the teams that wins the game over there ends up qualifying for the playoffs.
Well, there's more than one game this year.
Exactly. So it's 3 games this year. I don't know what the next game is. We've already seen Oakland win a game over there. This week we got Carolina and Tampa. So I don't know who else is going over there this year. But every year, one of the teams that play in London qualify for the playoffs.
Yeah, Oakland actually doesn't have a horrible record right now.
They're 3-2, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're above 500. So maybe it's Oakland, but I don't know, man. I don't think Tampa Bay is making the playoffs. Carolina, maybe. Carolina would be the maybe for me. But
I would agree with you on that one, but interesting to see what else is coming up. Yeah. The Cincinnati Bengals, no shot. The Houston Texans at plus 172 on the road versus Kansas City.
Yeah, I don't think this one.
A lot of people like too. Me, not so much.
I don't think it's crazy though. I don't really like it, but I don't think it's crazy. Here's what I'm looking at in this game. Sammy Watkins looks like he's not playing. There's a good chance, and again, it's only Wednesday, so I don't want to get too crazy. We talk about it all the time. Guys sit out Wednesday, just veteran day, for a day of rest. So you don't want to get too crazy with the Wednesday injury reports, but if Sammy Watkins doesn't play, Tyreek Hill may play. If Tyreek Hill plays, that's a different story. But if not, you're down to Demarcus Robinson, Byron Pringle, and McCall Hartman on the outside. So they're definitely not as strong as they have been. The running game isn't looking all that great. I mean, Shady's okay, and Damian Williams is back, even though he didn't have a big game last week. I don't think it's crazy, but if Tyreek Hill's playing, it would definitely give me more pause. And, I still think Kansas City wins this game, to be honest with you. So I'm trying to talk myself into it, but really I like KC here.
The Saints and the Jaguars, the Saints are plus 104, which is very tempting. And I'm looking at this like, no. This is a mistake right here. The Jaguars are the bet in this game. But I think this is going to be a popular money line this week. And I would not be surprised if a lot of people come up here on Monday morning talking about the Saints blew up my parlay.
Yeah, I like the Jags in this game, to be honest with you.
Me too.
The Jag side is better, and I think it's only a 1-point spread, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I'll go Jags -1 rather than even mess with Jags money line. I'll minus 110 on it and take that.
Yeah, you might even be it's at 115 right now, but I think that juice is going to flip. Philadelphia and Minnesota. Philadelphia is plus 146. I don't know what to do with this game, Benny. I know Kirk Cousins cannot beat the Bears. I know he can't beat the Packers. I know he can't beat the Lions. But it seems like he plays good against everybody else.
I actually like the Eagles in this one. I actually would take the 146. Yeah, so first off, I like the Eagles because you're giving me plus 146, and I feel like this game's kind of a coin flip.
No doubt.
Second thing is, again, Dalvin Cook, huge fan of Dalvin Cook. He's on a bunch of my teams. He's done real well for me to start the year. But the strength of this Eagles team is actually the front seven, at least the defense. The strength of the defense is the front seven. If Dalvin Cook can't run, I'm not sure that I trust Kirk Cousins to pass all over this team. And that's really what it comes down to is like, if you can – I don't think they're going to take away Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's not a guy you completely shut down. But even if you slow them down and you force them to have to beat you through the air – now, again, I know the secondary is not that great for the Eagles, but they've been better. They've been better the last couple of weeks than they were the first couple of weeks when they were getting torched. I actually don't mind the money line here at all. I actually like the Eagles plus 146.
I don't think it's a bad value either. Another money line I like this week, people are going to say I'm crazy. I like the Cleveland Browns at plus 106.
You're crazy. Go ahead. You talk about it because I can't defend that one.
What has Seattle done this year? They beat the Rams. Have you been all that impressed with the Rams? They beat Arizona, who just got a win. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
This is a road game. I think it's a bounce-back spot for Baker and the boys. The Seahawks secondary is where they can be handled at.
Okay.
I think the Browns grind out a win here.
All right, so here's my pushback on that.
But I want it at 125, 130, more so than 106.
Yeah.
That's the only problem with this game.
So here's my pushback on that. The Browns' offensive line is fucking horrendous.
They are.
Horrendous. Baker's holding on to the ball for too long, so the passing game is not working right now. The other thing, too, is they gave up 200-plus yards rushing to Matt Breida and Tevin Coleman last week. Chris Carson's getting 20-plus carries a game. Chris Carson's going to run for $150 and 2 touchdowns here today.
All right.
Mark that down. You can go play it. You'll probably win a lot of money this week. Chris Carson is going to run all over this team.
I may take that Chris Carson 2-touchdown prop bet. I still would lean the Browns. Miami and Washington, Benny, I'm not betting this. Is there anything to talk about it?
Dude, I was looking at this game today. And because I was going through stuff for like DFS, kind of making my notes on, things I want to look up, things I think are interesting. And I'm looking and I'm like, you know what? Like Josh Rosen is 4,500. Kenyon Drake is 4,400. About the only guy I could even like stomach playing in this game is Preston Williams.
Yeah.
It's about the only guy I could even stomach playing. And then I started thinking about the other side, though, is if everything we know about Bill Callahan turns out to be true, this is a 20-something carry Adrian Peterson game. And it's going to be like 20 carries for 68 yards.
No doubt. That's it.
So
20-something carries for 20-something yards.
Yeah, there's nothing here for fantasy that I can get excited about. And then I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll play the under if these offenses are going to be that bad. The under's like down to 40.5 or something like that. There's just nothing here.
It's nothing here. It's useless. The Arizona Cardinals, Benny, we've been talking about it since the preseason. The Cardinals are plus 116 since the preseason. And every Monday, Tuesday on Twitter, I can't believe I let the Falcons do it to me again. Mm-hmm. People are letting the Falcons do it to them again, Benny. This is clearly Arizona's football game.
Let me bounce something off you because this is something when I was looking at it yesterday. So your boy Matt Ryan is throwing the ball like 40, 45 times a game right now.
Yep.
Which is great for fantasy for us. That's great. I have a couple shares of him too. And he's doing it because they suck. Like they really suck and people don't realize it, which is why he's throwing the ball so much.
I don't understand why people don't realize that Atlanta sucks.
All right. So here's my statement. I want you to tell me if you think this is on point or not. The 2019 Atlanta Falcons are the 2018 Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Similar. Yeah, I can see that.
They can't run. They have sick wide receiver or sick pass catching options. I think we're going to get 40 plus. I think at the end of the year, Matt Ryan is going to average over 40 passes a game.
Yeah. That's Dirk Cutter's offense. Dirk Cutter don't run the football.
But that's what I'm saying is the way that they're playing is the way that Tampa Bay played last year. They couldn't run the ball. So they just said, okay, we're not even going to try. We got athletes all over in the passing game. And we're just going to sling it 40, 45 times. Now, again, it didn't work out very well for Tampa Bay last year either. But I think that's the way Atlanta wants to play. I might stack Atlanta every week from now until the end of the season. Just Matt Ryan and two of his – I mean, even Mohamed Sanu the last 3 weeks, Corey, double-digit PPR points.
It's so much volume. In his 3 seasons in Atlanta before, Matt Ryan threw the ball over 615 times in each of those seasons. So you know
40 pass attempts a game right there. That's 40 pass attempts.
Let me tell you when to bet the Falcons. Week 7 versus the Rams.
And take the over too.
Yep, week 7 versus the Rams. You bet the Falcons. I would also bet the Falcons in one of the games versus the Saints. That's it.
I don't know if I'm going to bet this game. I'm going to stay away from it, to be honest with you. But for fantasy, I feel like I'm going to have a lot of exposure to the Atlanta Falcons passing game and probably something. Oh, the other thing, too, on the Arizona side, David Johnson sat out practice again yesterday. We talked about Chase Edmunds on Monday. I have a feeling Chase Edmunds had 11 touches last week when David Johnson was banged up. 8 carries, 3 receptions. He's basically just going to slide into the David Johnson role. Like, you could see 20 touches from Chase Edmunds at 4,600 this week if David Johnson doesn't play.
That's crazy.
It's Atlanta too, Corey. Like, Atlanta has been one of those teams you always want running backs against. A lot of passes out of the backfield to running backs against Atlanta. They've been one of the worst at defending that over the years. Like, this is a dream matchup for Chase Edmunds if David Johnson doesn't play.
I think you make a good point on that one. Also a very good play for daily fantasy. The 49ers and the Rams, 49ers plus 148. I don't like that. I think the 49ers have been good this year. I'm kind of waiting for that loss to come in, though. I don't want to get caught with it. The Jets at plus 245. I don't think nobody's interested in that. The Tennessee Titans on the road at plus 114. Love it.
Tennessee, Denver, right, this week? Yeah, I don't hate that. Here's the deal with Tennessee. Tennessee has to score first. If Tennessee plays from ahead, they're very good. Mm-hmm. What you don't want is Tennessee falling behind and having to rely on Marcus Mariota throwing you back into a game with a weak receiving core rather than Derrick Henry controlling the game and just beating up on the other team and wearing them down. That's what you really want here. So I could see it happening, but I don't think it's an all-in kind of play.
Yeah. I like him, and you make a good point with that. Pittsburgh plus 230 on the road Sunday night versus the Chargers. Another one that I'm in on.
Yeah, go ahead. I wouldn't be, so go ahead.
Now I look at the situation right here. The Chargers have not been that good to start the season, and I look at the Chargers at minus 270. That's like that number is.
I'm not taking that number either.
That number is way too big. The Chargers laying 7 is too big. I think they go in there in a tough spot with a backup quarterback and get a win. Backup quarterbacks have played well this year. We still could see Mason Rudolph, but I like the Pittsburgh Steelers to cover, and I would sprinkle the money line.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that Mason Rudolph was back in practice yesterday.
They act like son was dead. You know what I'm saying?
I got to be honest. I thought he was when I saw that.
I was a little bit worried about that, too, to be honest with you, Benny.
Yeah, but, he's a baller. He's back in practice already, so.
Benny, I'm glad he's not dead.
Yeah.
Detroit and Green Bay. Green Bay laying 4.5. Green Bay is minus 215. Detroit is plus 182. I love Detroit at plus 182.
Yeah, I'm on board with you as well. I think Detroit's a very good team right now. I think Green Bay, because they have that 4-1 start, people are kind of over-betting them a little bit. Remember, Devontae Adams might not be playing this week either, so we really got to see his status before I say that. I mean, I like Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and you guys know I was high on Geronimo Allison early in the year, but that passing game without Devontae Adams, that's a huge, huge, huge difference. Those guys are good number 2, number 3 wide receivers, but if they're your number 1 and number 2, I wouldn't expect a lot of Aaron Rodgers stuff here. It's going to be all Aaron Jones again, which is something else I like.
Yeah, so there you go right there. That's a breakdown in this week's action. Little college football for the night. You got North Carolina State and Syracuse. State laying 4.5. The total is 56. I like State with the minus 4.5, but the under is the play right there. That's college football for tonight. For tomorrow night, I'll take Virginia plus 2 versus Miami, and also hop on Virginia's money line. Virginia's a better football team than Miami. What we got tonight in baseball, we got a game 5 between the Rays and the Astros, Benny.
Yeah, I mean, Garrett Cole's on the mound, so you got to be on the Houston side of this. As a Yankees fan, honestly, I'd rather play the Rays, so I hope they can pull something off, but most likely this is going to be the Astros. I think I saw the Astros were a pretty big number too, right? Like minus 2 something.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm, betting-wise, nothing that I'm really going to be looking for. Maybe like an over 8 Ks for Garrett Cole or something like that. That dude's an absolute beast. So I expect Houston to win, and Houston Yankees series starting up a couple days. I'll be excited.
ALCS will begin on Saturday. A big piece of chicken. I gotta give it to Howie Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? The grand slam to walk off, not to walk off, but to beat the Los Angeles Dodgers, keep them out the NLDS. I think that was very impressive.
Yeah, so I'll go to the same game right here. I'm going to give two big pieces of chicken out. One's going to Anthony Rendon, and the other one is going to Juan Soto for back-to-back jacks off of Clayton Kershaw in the 7th or 8th inning to tie this game up at 3. That was huge. That was huge for them, and that's what, gave Kendrick the chance to hit the grand slam in extra innings and wind up bringing this home for them. So shout out to the Washington Nationals. I mean, it's not often that, your highest profile player walks away and you wind up finally getting past the hump that you couldn't get over when he was there. So Bryce Harper's got to feel pretty crappy right now, but he's got 300 million reasons not to care that much about it.
No doubt about it. For my main man, Benny Ricciardi, it's Corey Parson, the fantasy executive, the opening line. We are out.